An unnaturally quiet period in the international financial system marks the beginning of the story, a period that gives the impression of being constructed rather than occurring spontaneously. For a number of months, analysts, governments, and high-frequency trading desks have been working in secret to get ready for a major event, one that would bring about a change in the very framework of liquidity on a worldwide scale. However, the fact that the spark would originate from an artificial intelligence that was created within a rapidly growing digital behemoth called credit blockchain was a surprise to all of them. This corporation, which had previously garnered attention for incorporating artificial intelligence into a novel XRP hash power platform, had been operating sophisticated simulations that were intended to stress test liquidity flows in a world that was transitioning to tokenized banking. However, a mathematical inevitability is precisely what the artificial intelligence was able to uncover, rather than a simple projected trend or a little aberration. The artificial intelligence system determined that in order for XRP to satisfy the projected global liquidity requirements in a completely tokenized financial architecture, the only stable long-term price per token was $10,000. This conclusion was reached through the use of millions of recursive simulations, trillions of variables, and the most detailed liquidity analysis ever processed by a digital system. What started off as an internal experiment turned out to be the most disruptive financial discovery of the decade. This report could never be kept confidential, as the leadership of Credit Blockchain was aware of this fact. Because of the sheer magnitude of the results and the extent to which they would have an impact, it was not possible to keep them within the confines of a single institution. The ramifications reached far beyond the scope of their individual concerns, extending all the way to the heart of international banking. The globe responded immediately as soon as the news became known to the public, even if it was only in partial form. The story was rushed to be confirmed by news organizations, and discussion and argumentation filled social media platforms. The financial community found itself in a state of heightened awareness overnight. Because there is a great deal of interest in finding out what the implications of this could be for the future, the institutional desks have commenced an investigation into the mathematical assumptions that are involved. They have scrutinized every detail and conducted their own calculations. In order to make sure that there were no mistakes or weaknesses in the model, groups of analysts put in extra hours working through the night. The model was quietly examined by government agencies. The regulators and policymakers were cognizant of the fact that making an error in judgment could result in implications on a worldwide scale. As such, they discussed the prospective outcomes behind closed doors. In an effort to confirm or reject the predictions made by the artificial intelligence, banking consortiums ran simulations utilizing their own proprietary data pools. Because the consequences of being unprepared were so severe, no one was willing to risk being caught off guard. To my surprise, the results that were reached by the artificial intelligence system were consistent when subjected to a variety of independent replications. The original findings were strengthened by each test and each new data set that was examined, which contributed to the increasing feeling of inevitability. The concept that XRP is destined to increase to the value of $10,000 based on mathematical principles ceased to be considered an unconventional theory and has been turned into a subject of discussion in liquidity committees, risk management sessions, and cross-border settlement task teams, something that was the rationale of the finances, which were quantitative in character, proved to be beyond refutation by the data-driven specialists, who were skeptical by nature. In the world we inhabit, the significance of opinions pales in comparison to that of concrete proof, and the numerical data were being more loudly acknowledged than they ever had been before. In the event that the numbers are pointing in a single direction, the system will ultimately comply. The eyes of the entire globe were now fixed on the situation, waiting to discover whether or not the mathematics would genuinely redefine the future of finance. The situation became much more serious when, out of the blue, an internal memorandum that had been leaked from a major European banking regulator appeared on the internet. A great deal of conjecture and alarm arose as a result of the document, which had been stamped with the word confidential and had rapidly disseminated around industry circles. The contents of the memo suggested that the landscape of digital assets was on the verge of undergoing a major transformation. As a result, journalists, analysts, and those who are aficionados of cryptocurrency rushed to confirm its legitimacy. The memorandum made reference to the artificial intelligence's innovative discoveries and affirmed that the same price criterion had been independently validated by several of the most prominent financial institutions under predicted tokenization models. This was not only the perspective of a single individual. There was a consensus that was developing among some of the most powerful actors in the world of finance. All of them were coming to the same conclusion. In order for XRP to function as a fundamental liquidity rail in the realm of international finance in the future, it would be necessary for it to operate in a pricing environment that features both a high value and a high level of stability, as stated in the memorandum. It was made apparent in the document that such a situation would be unlikely to occur unless there was a dramatic and coordinated revaluation event. This event has the potential to profoundly restructure the manner in which value is transferred across national boundaries. All at once, the entire digital asset landscape was shaken into a fresh state of consciousness. This insight was not limited to the price of XRP or the currency's prospects as a digital asset. The subject matter had to do with the structural redesign of global liquidity itself, a shift that might have ramifications for every major financial institution, every transaction that takes place across borders, and the fundamental structure of the world's monetary system. When it comes to this unfolding scenario, XRP was the most suitable asset for that important position because it was developed from the ground up with the purpose of satisfying the requirements of a new financial era. It was specifically designed for this exact moment, prepared to act as the foundation for a newly conceived global financial system. The world is currently in a liminal condition. As the story progresses to this point, it is caught between the gradual disintegration of legacy financial systems and the ambiguous promise of what will happen next. The traditional financial rails, which previously served as the backbone of global business, are now clearly disintegrating and are unable to keep up with the requirements of a society that is primarily digital. The level of trust that is placed in established institutions is beginning to decline, and the well-known systems that govern banking and finance are being scrutinized to a degree that has never been seen before. In the same vein, the rapid emergence of new digital financial systems is providing glimpses of a future in which knowledge and value are both as freely moving as one another. The artificial intelligence system that was designed for the purpose of credit did not forecast the precise time. The fact that the global financial system was already past the point when it was supposed to undergo transition meant that the emergence of digital assets was just a matter of time. It is pretty apparent that governments all over the world are doing their best to bring their payment systems up to date. As policymakers see that obsolete practices are no longer able to accommodate the pace and extent of international trade, the temptation to adjust becomes overwhelming. Central banks are investigating the possibility of digital currencies, and regulatory frameworks are being updated as this is all happening. In the meantime, firms are engaged in a competition to construct the next generation of settlement engines, which are systems that are intended to process value with the same efficiency that data packets flow via the internet. These advancements go beyond the concept of efficiency. They are about staying alive in a world where the concepts of speed and transparency are of utmost importance. The unparalleled flexibility and security that tokenized treasuries provide have made them the preferred option for managing and issuing debt at an ever-increasing rate. Smart contracts and digital assets are at the center of this new ecosystem, which is being rebuilt in its entirety. Commerce between machines is slowly but surely rising to prominence as the unseen financial lifeblood of our civilization, making it feasible to achieve a level of automated transactions between devices and systems that has never been accomplished before. This silent revolution is redefining the way in which value is shared, frequently without the need for any involvement on the part of humans. A single, unwavering reality is the foundation that supports all of these innovations, ranging from the emergence of digital treasuries to the automation of trade. There is a need for a liquidity asset that is neutral, immediate, and indefinitely scalable to be used around the world, one that is capable of serving as the foundation for this new era of finance. The most recent and sophisticated artificial intelligence models that have ever been used in the field of financial analysis have reached a distinct and unambiguous result after analyzing a multitude of situations and factors. In the current environment, there is only a single asset that is able to meet all of the requirements that are necessary in order to support this new paradigm of global finance. It is not only distinguished by its technology, but also by its capacity to connect the world of the past with the contemporary one. The price of this asset needs to increase